friend who, like, they're your friend, like they're your bud, you hang out with them all the time, and then you pick up something that they made and you like experience it again and you're like, oh my God, I know that person. Yes, well, I had that experience just this past week when I threw in the greatest CD ever made, Delusions of Grandeur. And every song I was like, oh, great song, oh, great song, oh, great song. So like, if you haven't picked up that CD yet, it's awesome. It is so awesome. Like every song just totally touched me. We have another amazing woman in the house. You guys, this is great. I'm claiming 2018 as the year of the awakened woman. And also the year of the awakened man who can handle the awakened woman. When I first met this woman, she's so awesome, she intimidated me, right? And because I thought about, like, why did she intimidate me? Because she's so impeccable. Around somebody who's impeccable and you're like, wow, that woman has it together. And when I think about the word impeccable, I think about holiness. Because when you're holy, you're impeccable. There's nothing out of accord. It's like you're true through and through. And it's not too often for me that I got to at that point. Now it's more common that I got to witness women standing in their holy authority. Like that was like a breath of fresh air. But first, when we see something we're not used to, it's like, oh, what is it? What is that thing? And it's like, oh, that's a holy woman. You just never saw one before. So, I watched this woman navigate some rough waters with such grace. And I watched her deliver things by thinking outside the box, which is amazing. And she's a practitioner, she's a spiritual practitioner. She has incredible consciousness. Her first book splashed onto the scene, took her to Oprah Winfrey. Yeah, this is our second Oprah Winfrey guest that we're hosting here at Speakeasy, by the way. She was on Corey. She traveled with her first book, and we have a copy available for one person, but the rest of you will have to buy it on Amazon. And she's going to be back to do a workshop for us and to do bring out her second book, which is launching this week. But she actually was the person that I called when I needed help launching my book and launching my course. And she helped me with A Course in Creating. And in A Course in Creating, there's these three components that I share. Midwives, wingmen, and lighthouses. A midwife is somebody that helps you hold the consciousness. So you want to gather great midwives to you. A wingman is somebody who kind of travels with you and does the same thing that you do, and you're kind of traveling together, and you're like, oh, how do you do that? And how do you kind of learn from each other? You're wingmen, you're flying together, birds of a feather flock together. And then lighthouses are people who are just a little bit above you on the path, who say, hey, this way, keep walking, like you got it, like this is how we do it, like this is how we do it. And there's very rare that you can find that in all those three things in one person. But this woman is not only my midwife, she's also my wingman, and she's my lighthouse. So please welcome up Sara Connell.
Oh my gosh. We'll go in here. Hi, you guys. This is amazing. I had to really try not to cry during that. Of course, Maureen is all of those things to me as well. Do we need to probably do this? Green light. We're on. So can we take a deep breath together? It is so amazing to see some familiar faces and many, many new beautiful faces that I have the gift of getting to meet today. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me here, especially kicking off a series on creativity and the chakras. Two such powerful topics. And Maureen invited me to speak a blessing for our talk and our service today. So if you feel comfortable to close your eyes or soft gaze. And especially because it's the root chakra today, we're going to talk about that. If you want to kind of feel your feet on the ground, even uncross your legs, if that feels comfortable, we're going to just start to activate that energy of rootedness, sacredness, holiness right here and right now. In this moment, I know that there is a divine presence. We can call it spirit, God, goddess, universe, source. I am one with it. Everyone here is one with it. And I truly affirm and believe today that we are here by divine appointment. So amazing that we've been called together today for a shift, for a transformation, for an awakening. And I affirm that for every person here, there is that little aha, that shift, that nugget that moves you forward on your path. I claim and affirm that we are all channels today for the high message of truth, of love, of awakening, of shift, of creativity manifesting in the world. So I claim a release of anything that stands in the way of the highest potential of every person here, that everyone hears what they need to hear, that we walk forward from this place transformed, healed, one with our wholeness, our divine creativity, our unlimitedness, and our success. I am so grateful and honored to be here today and affirm that this divine appointment is met and fulfilled beyond our wildest imaginings. I'm grateful, and so it is. Amen. So I might invite some breaths as we go, and that's for me, because I need to remember to breathe. And it's also a great thing with the chakras. So I thought what we could do is I could share a little bit about my journey with the root chakra, our base chakra that we're kicking off with today, about creativity. And then my intention would be that we experience some transformation together. And so the final part will be a little bit of a guided exercise that we can do together to unleash the power of the root chakra, unleash our creativity. So if that sounds good, that's what I thought we'd do. And just a reference, since it is the first in a series, for me, creativity is not about fine art of any kind. It's not sculpting and music, although it includes that. Creativity to me is like, have you ever wanted to take care of a pet, or have a child, or bring an idea into the world, write something, draw something, have a conversation that was different than the pattern that you learned? All of that, to me, truly, like life force is creative, that we desire, is why we come in. And the root chakra is so important to me in that, because here is, so it's, I'm going to say the Sanskrit word incorrectly, so I'm just going to own that right away, but it's Muladhara is the root chakra. I got somewhere in that neighborhood, but I'm sure we can find the phonetic spelling on YouTube. So it's red, it's at the base, it's the root of ourselves. So Maureen and I have a little red on, just looking through my closet, like, I've got to have some red. So, and so it's this very, very, very powerful, it's the entry chakra. The chakras are wheels of light and energy that spin through the body, spiritual centers in the body. So our root chakra here, at the base, is so powerful, and it can be the place of obstruction and block to our creative dreams. And so that's what we're gonna talk about. And so, do you ever have the experience where you know that something is going to be a divine appointment, like Maureen called, would you be able to come out, and then you get a clear sign? And so that already happened today, so you can listen in the talk in a minute. You might hear what the synchronicity was that just happened for me sitting here in just a few minutes about what I had prepared to say. Okay, so so the root chakra, well, I think I'm one of those people that came into the world wanting to write. Maureen mentioned that I'm an author, and that's my profession, and I work with other authors and help them bring their visions into the world, and it's work that I'm so blessed to do and I love. And I came into the world wanting to write. It was like, I think, right from the beginning. And I remember going to my mother and saying something along the lines of like, when I grow up, I'm gonna go write a story, I'm gonna write a book. And my mom delivered one of her favorite phrases that I would hear many, many, many times in my childhood. Oh, look at you and your delusions of grandeur. I cannot freaking believe that is the name of your album. So like, if we weren't sure that this is a divine, okay, like we're all supposed to be here, all right. So my mom, so it was a favorite line, she loved the line, it was fun, and yet what I took away from those conversations was first that my dream was delusional. So impossible, delusional, crazy. And secondly, that it was grand. And grand in my family was not a loving word, not like grand as in lovely. It was arrogant. It was boastful. It was not of God. And I felt it, delusions of grandeur. And then I remember going to my dad and saying something along those same, I'm gonna grow up and do something that's my passion. I'm gonna be an artist, and my dad said, I just want to be really clear. Work is something you do that you don't like that people pay you for. That's what work is. And this is really like, it's amazing, like the consciousness that we can, and he's like, so I mean, that's great, you want to have a hobby. He didn't do the delusions of grandeur thing, but like, let's be very clear what this is going to look like when you're a grown up. So it's like, this is not feeling good. The dream is not like, woo. All right, and wouldn't it be amazing? Can you imagine if parents came to us and they were like, you came to them with a dream. I don't know if anyone relates. It could be a parent, caregiver, teacher. I'm guessing some of us at some point have had this experience. We went, got all excited, and someone's like, and can you imagine if a parent or a teacher or a caregiver said something like, wow, that's amazing you want to do that. Of course you're going to do that. in my limited conditioning and self-repression and pain, I don't believe that's possible for myself. And so I'm gonna tell you that it's not possible for you, but don't believe anything I'm saying because it's complete bullshit. Like, can you imagine? And then the little kid goes, okay, cool. And they're just up, I see the little sweeties up there, and you go skipping off to do your dream. But that is not what happens, right? And this is root, because what happens in the root chakra, I call tribal agreements. Tribal agreements, and those can be in the family of origin, they can be extended family, they can be teachers, they can be they can be society and our culture. Tribal agreements to struggle, tribal agreements artists don't deserve to make money, tribal agreements that we're not good enough, smart enough, old enough, young enough, the right body size. So we have these agreements, usually unconscious. I was totally unaware that I was shutting it down. The valve of creativity. Every time, delusions of grandeur, every time, no, you can't do that. Okay? So we don't get that. Our parents and caregivers in society doesn't say, in our messed upness, we're gonna tell you this can't happen and you're not good enough. But that's not about you. No, we think it's completely about us and we usually start buying into it. So this is what's crazy. So I'm not getting the affirmation at home, but I still really care about this writing thing. And so there's this teacher in school that I knew I was gonna have, and he was the first published author I'd ever met. And it was like, oh my gosh, he's published 3 books, he has a column in the Washington Post, this is gonna be amazing. Like, I'm gonna get in his class. And I get in his class, and he's ready to hand back our first assignment, our first writing. And he says, we have some real writers in this room. I'm kind of like, oh my God, it's gonna happen. And he hands back the papers. He's like, Johnny, Andrew, Jane, amazing work. My name, not called. And so that's where I didn't know another thing that I did, kind of root chakra thing, which was that I let someone else have the power to decide if I was worthy of my dream. Like, I didn't know that that's what I was doing, but I'm like, my parents don't think this can really happen, but here's this person who's doing it, and they're a writer. And it's like, yeah, no, you're nothing. I don't. So that's when the valve went down to there was maybe any trickle coming out. And I really shoved that dream down for a long time. And I didn't write. But here's the crazy thing about our dreams. And they don't have to, mine happened to be writing, right? But it can be anything, like we talked about, engineering, working with animals, the environment, whatever it is. It was like a little blade of grass that was growing through the cement. So I couldn't completely let it go. I didn't write for a long time, and I certainly didn't show my writing to everyone. And then I went and got a job in advertising where I pretended I was being creative, but I was kind of like a shadow artist, as Julia Cameron would say. And I would write literally in a closet. So I joke, I was a closet writer. I literally wrote in closets and closed the door so no one would ever see it. So it's really painful to want something and feel something in you. And if this was your path at all, it hurts to want it and then believe really though you're not good enough. And I kept going though, just a little bit more, got a little braver, and I started bringing in spiritual practices to my work, and it's a longer story than we have time for, but all of a sudden I got to this place where I knew someone who knew someone who knew an agent, and I started writing, really writing, even though I was so scared to show it to anyone. And I got on the phone with this agent, and she said, I'm going to send you a whole bunch of work to do. And if you do this, I'll consider representing you. And there was the dream, right? It worked for more than a decade. It was right there. And you would have thought I got off that call and run to my computer and just type, doing these revisions. And so I couldn't write that day. And then a week went by and I couldn't write. And 3 weeks went by and I couldn't write. And I really began to despair. Because you don't get that many calls, is what I thought in my scarcity thinking. You don't get that many people on the phone in New York who are going to look at your work. And so I'd heard of this woman in California, and thank God that I called her. She was a writing coach, and she was spiritual, and I called her because I knew someone who worked with her, and she walked me through step by step by step, coached me through that revision process. I brought in, like Maureen said, I brought in midwives. I prayed about it. I met, it's so weird. It's sometimes I compartmentalize things that I would bring to my spiritual practice. And thank God that I had that support, and I had the wingmen and the midwives and the lighthouses, and that ended up leading to me signing with that agent and the first book deal and Oprah and getting in the New York Times. Things that in my wildest imaginings as an artist could ever happen. So I really saw the power of spiritual practice, the power of learning about these chakras, the power of not letting those things that had told us no be the ultimate say, right? It's just like there's a certain point at which that was gonna define me, and I remember saying, this is what I'm gonna do with other people. I'm gonna learn to be a spiritual practitioner, I'm gonna learn to be a coach, and I'm going to help midwife other people's dreams. And so one of my first clients showed up, and this will circle back around now to the root chakra. One of my first clients shows up, and we'd only met over the phone, and she's holding a box of Kleenex, and she's sobbing. She's at my door, hysterically crying. And she said, I'm mortified, I've never met you before in my life, but I read something this week and I can't stop crying. And so I said, well, oh my God, come in, what was it? And she said, I saw this stupid quote, and it said, don't die with your music still in you. And I'm turning 50 this week, and I've wanted to write for my whole life, and I'm really scared that's what's gonna happen to me. And I just it's sort of like the breath, that sort of breath got knocked out of me for a second, and I just looked at her because I knew that. I knew that thing of wanting to bring out whatever it is that's really within us, that we really, really want to bring forth into this world, and just not being able to do it. And I looked at her and said, you're gonna get there. We're gonna get you there. And I think when Suzanne got her first piece published, we were whooping and screaming and leaping around my living room. I mean, it was as happy as the day that I flew to New York and met with that agent. It was so exciting. I've never gotten tired of it. 13 years later doing this work, I have never gotten tired of sitting with someone who I can feel that blade of grass, poking through, and knowing that they are gonna do this work and they're gonna get there. And so what does this else have to do with the root chakra? Well, the other thing, we talked about tribal agreements, right? We make these agreements unconsciously with the people and society in which we live that we aren't gonna go against maybe where their beliefs are, against their consciousness, what the world says is possible. But the other thing that happens in the root chakra about this music, why on earth would any of us not bring out the music that's in us? We have the dreams, but why would we not bring it out? Well, we wouldn't bring it out because the other thing that happens in the root chakra is it's about our security. And as soon as we step into something bigger than we've been and say yes to some vision inside us, we are going to feel wildly out of control, unsafe, ungrounded, alarmed. The root chakra's red. It's like the alarm bells are going. It's like, ooh, no, I'm gonna go right back into my comfort. Let me kind of stay small, let me stay whatever. And small, big, it's not about what that looks like out in the world to me at all, but it's about am I living big for who I came here to be? Am I really bringing out that music that's uniquely within me and mine? And so our root chakra gets very threatened. And so between the tribal agreements and the feeling scared because we're not in the safe zone anymore, we can get stopped right here before we take that journey up those other 7 layers. So if you want to just think for a moment, if you close your eyes and thinking, does any of this resonate? Is there anything you can relate to around a dream that you've had or have right now? It could be one you've had for your whole life. It could be a dream that just came in because it's almost a new year and something's wanting to be birthed. And so we're going to tap in now to how we might unblock ourselves and prepare for this journey through the chakras in the next coming weeks. And once this root chakra is open, power that you have never imagined can be unleashed, creativity, your unique vision. And so imagine now, let's say you came in with a dream from the beginning, or you have a new dream now, and imagine either way that you did come in encoded with this vision, this dream, this desire you have, this music in you. And imagine now there's a field of all the little souls that have just come into the world, these beautiful new babies. We have one right here in the community, right here. And imagine this entire field just watched over by angels, and all the souls that are coming into their lifetime are here, and they have these dreams encoded in them. And you're there, you're one of these little souls that came in with the dreams that you're here to give. And do you imagine that any one of these beautiful little souls does not deserve to exist, to have needs, to love and be loved for exactly who they are, and most importantly for what we're talking about today, to have dreams and take action and bring those dreams into the world? Does any one of those beautiful, pure little souls not deserve to bring forth the music that they came in to bring? And just notice Maybe you feel like some of them don't. Maybe you feel like they do. Whatever is coming up for you is perfect. And so imagine growing yourself up to a place, like taking that place of, if you were a yes to that, like of course they deserve to bring forth the music. I deserve it. And taking that I deserve and grow yourself up to a place where you heard a no. It might be with a parent, a teacher, just an idea you had from the world. That's not possible. That's not for you. You don't have to have a specific memory, just kind of get a sense. And kind of put yourself into that place. And imagine that there's this twisted cord, like a DNA strand, going from your root chakra, right down in the pelvic bone, right into the root chakra of that person or place or society that you felt was giving you a no. In their limited unconsciousness, they gave you a no. And now imagine that strand is unraveling. So there's actually two. The two strands that looked fused are now separate. You've got one in your left hand, one in your right. And in your right hand, that's going right into your root chakra, just pouring divine light into that red center, is unconditional love. It's the yes of the universe that gave you that dream in the first place. And it's pouring light into you. And in the other hand, in your left hand, there's kind of an old gnarled cord that was that no that someone unconsciously or something unconsciously gave you or you gave yourself. And so just imagine you're holding it and grip it with your left hand. Make a fist around that old, painful cord. And then sticking your hand straight out in front of you, your left hand, turn that fist over and open it up. Let that cord drop. Just letting it drop to the ground, seeing it go, and then get just sort of sucked away into the nothingness. So now the only cord that's coming is this beautiful cord filled with light. So we're going to see light pouring down from your crown now into your root chakra. See it swirling, this pure red energy that is now free to give you everything you need to fulfill your music, to bring forth that which is yours to bring forth. And then we have this beautiful light coming from society, the world, anyone in your life is pouring that yes into you, that power. So we'll have these two beautiful strands of light meeting in that root chakra. See it. So if you see this or don't see it, it's working anyway. You're doing awesome. And just let it swirl around, getting brighter and brighter and clearer. It's like pure water. And this root chakra now is activated with the light of the universe, the power of the entire world. And so let's just see that settling down and calming, seeing those lights now just seal this chakra in beautiful, pure, rotating energy. And then to finish off, we're going to breathe up into our hearts. Breathe up into our hearts. And if you want to even, this is funny, but if you want to open your eyes for a minute, if you ever want to activate this root chakra, the sort of goddess pose that will open it up is you can do kind of a squat. It's very funny to do in a dress, but usually in your yoga clothes. But you sort of squat down and have your arms, it's like this. And so it's a very ridiculous gesture to do, but if you are alone in your house later during a yoga class, give it a go this week. Like really activate that, kind of drop into that goddess pose. That's going to energetically be unblocking and opening up this creative energy that each week as these chakras build is going to come more and more up. And you, just like today with Delusions of Grandeur, you'll be in the right place at the right time, right in this room. The connections are waiting to happen. Everything you need to bring forth your creativity, whatever that looks like for you, it's all activated. You're in the flow as we line up these chakras. And so imagine one more time closing our eyes, we're in the heart, and bring forth your blade of grass for right now. Just something that you would love. Something that you would love to manifest in the world. And just feel the universe. There's a story that for every blade of grass that grows through the cement, there's an angel whispering over it that says, grow. And so imagine the universe saying, yes, grow. And the final thing we'll do to seal this yes today, activated with the root chakra, is to take that idea from something you imagine wishing or desiring and say it in the now. I am. So I am an engineer that brings innovation to the world. I am a parent who is conscious and present and being a spiritual steward of these beautiful souls that have come into my life. I am a writer, a painter, a sculptor, a dancer, a musician. I am a teacher. I am a leader. I am. Not out there, not someday, not I hope, not if I get permission. I am. I am because I'm authorized by the universe. I am because I have an activated root chakra that is moving me into the fulfillment of this vision. I am. And if you want to roll your eyes open and just anchor that energy down, think hips, feel your hips and your feet on the ground, knowing that whatever this felt like today, that something has moved. Like we've moved some energy today, we've moved through that root chakra. And if you do have a book in you, a dream in you, a creative vision in you, I'm going to hang around for a little bit back at that polka dot table and have some special gifts and resources for you too. So we'll continue this work that we're doing, and there's so much more to come in the service that's going to take us forward. So congratulate yourself for doing some really powerful root chakra work, maybe trying out something that's a little bit weird and different, and being willing to do some visualization and just feel that red energy flow and feeling your passion. You're worthy, you deserve it, you're capable, and it's going to happen.